Myth. Refugees are those who wait in refugee camps overseas. Those who make a claim in Canada jump the line and are not as deserving. Fact. Refugees are people who have been forced from their homes by human rights abuses. Saying that some refugees are more deserving than others is the same as saying that some human beings are of more value than others. Canada has legal obligations towards refugees in Canada. The Supreme Court of Canada has also confirmed the right of asylum seekers to fundamental justice. Myth. Refugees don't travel on false documents. Fact. On the contrary, international law recognizes that refugees often have no choice but to enter a country of asylum illegally. For many refugees fleeing persecution, a false travel document is the only means of escape. Repressive governments often refuse to issue passports. Sometimes refugees are stripped of their identification as they flee from conflict or have no time to collect their documents before fleeing for safety. Myth. Refugees pose threats to Canada's security. Fact.
Okay.
Refugees all go through a front-end security screening. Through this process, the Canadian Security Intelligence Services checks all refugees on arrival in Canada. It is far more difficult to enter Canada as a refugee than as a visitor, because the refugee process involves security checks by CSIS and the RCMP, fingerprinting, and interviews. Myth. Refugees make Canada vulnerable to terrorism. Fact. Immigration does not cause violence. It actually discourages violence by promoting an open, diverse, active, and tolerant society. Refugees who arrive in Canada are often looking to escape situations of violence, and instead find freedom, peace, and hope. Canada has actually experienced less terrorism than certain European countries that have not been as welcoming to refugees. Myth. More refugees mean more crime. Fact. There is no evidence that suggests more immigration leads to increased crime. Immigrants commit fewer crimes than others and are actually underrepresented in prisons. Immigrants and refugees are like other people. A few may engage in criminal activities, but the majority are law-abiding. Myth. The children of refugees are more likely to engage in criminal activity, such as taking drugs or being involved in gangs. Fact. The children of refugees and immigrants are less likely to be involved in criminal activities or consume drugs and alcohol than Canadian-born children whose parents were not immigrants or refugees, according to the Ottawa Public Health. Myth. Refugees collect more than pensioners and people on welfare. Fact. Most refugees are not eligible for government assistance. Resettled refugees are only eligible for a period of 6 to 12 months, and only if they do not have funds of their own. These refugees receive roughly the same amount as Canadians on welfare, and are based on the provincial or territorial welfare rates where they reside. Myth. Refugees arrive with complex health and mental health problems. Fact. While it is true some refugees arrive with serious health problems as a result of the traumatic events that they have survived, those who work with refugees emphasize that the great majority of those who arrive do not. Many are stressed upon arrival, but their stress often relates to immediate issues, such as where to find food and lodging, jobs, schools, and social connections. Myth. Refugees take jobs away from Canadians. Fact. Refugees do not take jobs from Canadian-born workers, but actually help to increase job opportunities for all by stimulating the economy. In fact, as Canada's birth rate continues to remain low and the aging labor force nears retirement, the integration of immigrants and refugees helps to maintain a stable economy. Myth. Refugees are a drain on the Canadian economy. Fact. Refugees are an incredible source of human capital. After their initial settlement period, refugees become employed and pay taxes. They contribute to the Canadian economy by adding to its workforce and tax base. Moreover, refugees are often highly educated people, and Canada benefits from their knowledge, talents, and skills. Myth: the children of refugees fail to thrive in Canada and become a drain on the Canadian economy. Fact: in a 2016 report, Statistics Canada revealed that refugee children as a group had achieved better graduation outcomes than their Canadian-born peers. 30% of refugees attended university compared to 24% of their Canadian-born peers.